So I think when it pertains to actually like policy, when it pertains to things that they're going to do, when you're writing things into policy, I think it's really important that people analyze that stuff as opposed to what people hear. I think right now, I feel like we're caught in between a debate between ideals and mean things that are being stated, right? So we're caught between a debate between policy and people's insecurities or people feeling offended, right? I don't really care if someone feels offended if the alternative is someone that's going to bomb you to hell, right? I don't really care if you feel offended if the alternative is someone that's literally going to set up a blacklist for specifically your demographic, your group, as was seen by the DNC. The DNC just recently pushed a blacklist for people that are a part of terrorist organizations to be flagged and prevented from being able to gain access into guns or on a no-fly list. So basically, if anyone is on a terrorist organization or is considered a terrorist, they would flag that person, prevent them from being able to gain entry or entry or exit of the country, and prevent them from being able to have access to a gun. Now,
which sounds a lot like what Trump said.
Well, Trump said specifically just a Muslim ban, but this terrorist prevention policy that the DNC is pushing for, and what Hillary Clinton pushes for, is just strictly anyone and everyone. So, for instance, Black Lives Matter, for instance, was once on a terrorist watch list, right? We haven't committed any terrorism. Martin Luther King was on a terrorist watch list. He didn't commit any terrorism. Malcolm X was on a terrorist watch list. He didn't commit any terrorism. Black Panther Party. So many people were put a part of this terrorist watch list that have been historical activists, right, against the system of corruption. And that's what they do with their terrorist watch list. They don't actually use it to actually watch for terror. They use it to watch you. And so when you tell me that you're against Donald Trump because he says he's against the Muslim ban, you say, well, the alternative is someone who's just against you. So which is it that we're going to go with? Are we going to have an honest conversation about it, or are we just going to talk about rhetoric? So I don't know. That's my personal convictions on it. And you may disagree. You're free to disagree, but I say disagree with me based on evidence, research, and then get back to me. But if you're just disagreeing with me because of what you heard or what was said on the news
or how
it feels, then you're not being honest with me. You're not being honest with yourself. And worst of all, you're preventing yourself from being able to see what's going on in this world and the corruption that's taking hold and is afoot.
Yeah, let me just add a few things about the immigration and the Muslim thing that you brought up. I thought Trump's rhetoric as far as not letting Muslims in was just kind of bull, because we already have a very strict process anyway. It takes up to 18 months for people to come in as refugees. Well, we do biometric screening. It's already a tough process. Is it going to be perfect? Nothing is. So that conversation I thought was just a way that Trump was getting support for people and playing on their fears. When we look at this blacklist by Democrats, as far as putting people on there when it comes to guns, entry and exit to the country, we need to be concerned about that, because history has a way of repeating itself. And during the Red Scare and McCarthyism after World War II and the Cold War, there was a lot of that. There was blacklisting of people because they sounded communist or talked about communism, because that was used as a way to crack down on people. We don't need to fall into this system of fear again because of ISIS, which I would argue, if you look at the history, we created the conditions for ISIS with our foreign policy. We can't allow ourselves to fall into fear and then say, oh yeah, let's do a blacklist, because it's just like you said. Well, who gets on the blacklist? Like, if you criticize the government too much, are you on the blacklist? The United States has a history of censoring people when they get a little too loud and say things that they don't like. So when it comes to Trump, the one thing that does concern me is his supporters. Because I worry that if Trump wins, his supporters, who some are white supremacists, who have been Grand Wizard of the KKK, David Duke, will feel empowered to act on a white supremacy and a racism and a xenophobia that they don't necessarily feel empowered to now. Their confidence in their bigotry is rising as Trump does well. That worries me. However, let me also add the other side. I worry about Hillary Clinton's foreign policy if she wins. I worry about how many civilians will be killed overseas, how many governments will be installed that we don't agree with and that actually may be authoritarian or dictators. Will Hillary be so hawkish in the Middle East that she could push us into another conflict, another war in Iraq that she voted for, another problem in the Middle East, when I think we need leaders who will get us out of that, who will stop feeding into the military-industrial complex, who stop feeding into the prison-industrial complex that she gets donations from. That's my concern. So you can say, oh, I'm worried about Trump and his rhetoric. Yeah, you should be. But you're not being fair to yourself and you're not being honest with yourself if you ignore Hillary's past and her record and the fact that she has given us no good reason why she's going to change.
No. And I just want to say this as the last thing. Leave everyone with this. You have options, right?
Yes, you have options.
You have alternatives. There are only 2 people that are running in this race. Because of their disastrously low approval ratings, it's made way for 2 other candidates to emerge and make a substantial presence. They are intimidated. The reason why they're trying to keep the conversation on the false dichotomy of Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump is because there's a possibility of a third-way candidate. And there's a third, listen, for all the people that are voting for Hillary simply because they're afraid of Trump, they could vote for Gary Johnson or Jill Stein and make a significant impact. The same thing goes for the people that are voting for Trump because they're afraid of Hillary. You could vote for Gary Johnson or Jill Stein and make a significant impact. I consider myself to be more of a libertarian strand of ideals, so I'm more than likely going to vote for Gary Johnson, but I do like some things that Jill Stein says. For instance, she has a focus on getting money out of politics, which I think is preeminent. I think you have to do that in order to actually get rid of the system that we have right now because it doesn't work, right? But the fact of the matter is, you can safely make those choices, and ultimately, what will happen is you increase ballot access for those candidates and those third-party candidates in the future, so that we can get out of the two-party system, right? Because that's ultimately what we have to do in order to make positive change. In order for you to have choice, you need to be able to start making choices.
Yes. So that has been Bothersome Truth. Please, if you like what we're doing, let us know. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe, and check this channel each day because we're always doing separate videos. We get together every week and do the tag team videos, but we also do our own videos where we talk about things going on in the week. We've talked about police brutality. That's a big focus that we've talked about. We've been talking about how they call us thugs, quote unquote. And so continue to check us out. And if you like it, tell a friend. Subscribers matter. We appreciate you. And that's been Bothersome Truth.
See you guys later.